Inferno!
Dave! You did it, brother. You absolutely knocked it out of the park. And now, I turn to my audience. You've seen the thumbnail, you know Ahsoka Tano is back. That is the only spoiler I want to give away right off the bat, because in my opinion, this is one of the most monumental episodes of The Mandalorian thus far. I believe it to be my duty to explain why this is the case, even though it's pretty self-evident if you've watched the episode already. I highly recommend you go and watch the series and this new episode if you haven't done so already, because we're going to be examining as much of this new episode as possible. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button, because I'm still making this a weekly gig whilst producing Doctor Who reviews. Now, without further ado, let's get on with the review. The episode opened with this terribly miserable shot of the city of Caladan. It painted a picture that established the themes of the episode. Ash seemed to be fluttering in the air, perhaps from pollution or a conflict. You have this murky tint as though smog and pollution have completely enveloped this city from the industrialization brought about by the antagonist of this episode, Morgan Elsbeth. This opening gave me the impression an attack from the outside was on the way, with people running around in fear. It is in fact a one-man army who I thought was smoking something before killing these armed guards. This was interesting to me given that the Jedi's code forbade them from doing so. It certainly seemed more justifiable as the episode went on, but compared to, say, Cara Dune, who had a reputation to maintain, it would seem that this was displaying Ahsoka Tano having nothing to lose. After all, this wasn't the first time she turned her back on the Jedi. I did find it very impressive to watch her utilizing the smoke and desolation of Elsbeth's making, implying that Caladan had brought this dangerous Jedi upon itself. Even the sound effects the lightsabers produced proved to be refreshing, given that this is the first lightsaber we've seen in the show. All suspicions are confirmed as Elsbeth tried to scare Ahsoka off, unabashedly proclaiming to be the dictator. The immense power over the city that she wielded was demonstrated by how small Ahsoka was framed in these shots. I also loved the strings that were introduced into the score when the title card was shown, really attempting to hype up this brand new episode for us, the one we've all been waiting for. Mando and the child arrived at the planet Corvus. This incredible shot here displayed the veins of the planet burning. The eerie music injected doubt about this, what did Bo-Katan call it?
The forest planet of Corvus.
Once again, suspicions were confirmed as Mando landed and we saw silhouettes of giant beasts chewing on tree trunks. The forests appear to have been scorched for the sake of Imperial prosperity at the expense of all other life. I think the setting of this episode touched a nerve for audiences because of the increasing forest fires that have been seen in the United States over the past few years. There definitely seemed to be a rather subtle environmental message in this episode, presented along similar lines as the film Princess Mononoke. More on that later. Mando then beats the child for stealing that little ball thing again.
I told you not to touch it!
Then the pair headed into town. It seemed to me like there was a form of isolationism to Caladan, considering the hired gunfighter Lang believed that the guild still existed. There was a good reason for this nobody goes in, nobody goes out attitude when we saw people caged up and electrocuted. I had serious goosebumps during this and, well, actually, I think I had goosebumps throughout the entire episode, if I'm being perfectly honest. Even this double-gated garden with lush greenery and calm waters filled with carps displayed our antagonist as deliberately blinding herself to the destruction of greenery that was right outside her walls. Mando then came face to face with the Jedi he was seeking. It was interesting that amidst the smoke and ruin, this was the weapon he decided to use. We also established that something can in fact block a lightsaber aside from another lightsaber, Beskar. It's this very moment that a Beskar weapon would probably feel a little more tempting to Mando if he didn't have such an important mission on his hands. This reveal also set up the duel between Ahsoka and Elsbeth perfectly, both being on equal footing weapon-wise and neither having plot immunity really racked up the tension to a boiling point. As night rolled in, we had some of the most gorgeous moonlit shots. The technical aspects of this show are truly truly mind-blowing, in case I hadn't said that a million times already. These wide-angle shots complemented this still and quiet section of the episode, a testament to how well-paced The Mandalorian is per episode. Most of the time you'll find an episode has its high-octane action placed at the start and end of the episode, with the middle serving to fill in the blanks story-wise. As I looked a little closer at Ahsoka, it dawned on me that her horns and head tails seemed a little short compared to her appearance in Rebels. Look at Shark T, for God's sake. Maybe she shaved them? Their design appeared to be made out of foam or something though. Just look at those cracks. Then we got some pretty astounding revelations regarding Grogu's origins. Thankfully, it didn't give too much away about his species or planet of origin, but established that he was kept hidden at the end of the Clone Wars after being trained at the Jedi Temple. Grogu certainly seemed to be the Jedi's best kept secret, though I found it hard to believe that we spent 6 seasons of Clone Wars with Ahsoka and this secret Jedi wasn't even mentioned. Just as a reminder, Ahsoka left the Order as well. You'd think she'd be the last Jedi to know about this secret. Then again, there aren't that many left, so it's not like Filoni and Favreau have much of a choice at this point. We then had a fantastic segment that established Grogu's abilities. It would appear that he would rather take than give, and the fear instilled in him over the years is enough reason for Ahsoka not to train him.
I cannot train him.
What? Why not?
He is too old to begin the training.
She was erring on the side of caution here because of what she saw happen to Anakin during the Clone Wars. During the siege section, the Japanese influence on this episode became rather clear. This spell was reminiscent of bonsho that are commonly found in Buddhist temples. Both the style of fighting between the women and the way they are framed. Even one of the concept arts showed Ahsoka and Elsbeth fighting in a dojo. Here I will develop a little more on how I believe there is some influence from Hayao Miyazaki's film Princess Mononoke. The forces of nature in both this episode and the film were at risk of being utterly destroyed by mankind. The magistrate and her hunky hired man were reminiscent of the leaders of Irontown. Similarly, our protagonists were the unlikely alliance between a male who came from a small clan with their own unique customs and traditions, and a female that survived in the wilderness amongst nature. Eboshi, however, was certainly nowhere near as cruel to her citizens as Elsbeth, and there are many other inconsistencies with this comparison, but the thematic similarities are definitely there. I did wonder if they chose a Japanese actor to play this soon-to-be governor of the city, but intriguingly, this was Wing Ti Chow, one of Disney's Imagineers who helped design, negotiate, and develop Disney theme parks across the globe. Basically, he's a big deal to Disney, and this was his first acting role. When Ahsoka slashed the bell in 2, once again that fantastic sound design really gave these hunks of metal weight. This sequence, and quite frankly the whole episode, was filmed beautifully. It utilised the wide angle so effectively to display how on paper Ahsoka and Mando were completely outnumbered. In spite of these odds, the hunt for the Jedi went ahead, with Lang displaying a laser shotgun that totally didn't give me a huge nerdgasm. Seeing the characters navigating these tight alleyways would have made his weapon really effective had he not been facing a Jedi. We were then treated to 2 standoffs, one Western inspired and one Eastern. Not a single note of music was heard throughout this section of the episode to rack up the intensity further. Every clang of Beskar and clash of light amidst the calm rippling of water and never-ending wind blowing made for a truly visceral fight. It was choreographed to perfection, even though we only saw half of it. Ahsoka's victory led to her asking about Grand Admiral Thrawn. This meant absolutely nothing to me until I was informed that this character has quite the reputation amongst Star Wars Rebels fans. He's voiced by none other than Lars Mikkelsen, who you may remember being the antagonist in the Sherlock Season 3 finale. Honestly, just to see or hear him in Star Wars sounds like a great idea to me. Guess I better start watching Rebels, hadn't I? I mean, it's not like I'm gonna have much reason to keep Disney Plus after December, am I? Now, the other big question is this: What is Mando gonna do with that spear? Is he gonna smelt it and make more armor? Or sell it and buy a better ship? I cannot wait to find out. I really loved this woodwind victory music that was playing during the final moments of the episode 2. It created a satisfying feeling that Mando had finally completed his task, yet it was also very saddening because this might be the last time the child would be in the show. Even Pedro Pascal's delivery was hesitant and choked. By playing this positive music underneath this heartfelt shot, perhaps achieving one's goals doesn't provide the happiness we believe it does. Despite the helmet covering his face, the sound and images relayed the emotion for us. They could have just ended the show here, but of course Grogu makes Disney so much money in merchandising that abandoning him wouldn't exactly be a smart business strategy. With all the explanations and revelations this episode provided, I do hope that he serves more of a function in the future than producing the same scenario each episode. What babysitter is going to change Grogu's nappy this week? But it's not like finding this child's species or home planet has been taken off the table either, thus why he cannot stay behind to be trained. Ahsoka is not an explorer and doesn't have the same connection to Grogu that Mando does. Just gotta go and find that mountain, I guess. Thanks for watching. This analysis was made possible by the nerdy and proofreading contributions of Max and Chloe. Please consider supporting these analysis videos by making a pledge on my Patreon page. What did you think of this episode? Comment below your thoughts or join us for a chinwag on my Discord server, where we'll continue this discussion. Look down!